So we had to replace the kit in the toilet, the valves and the whole thing. So we bought the $20 little kit thing, and had a buddy of mine come over and show me how to do it right. Now I had to buy a new tool. Well, this is not the new tool; it's the old one. These are channel locks. My father told me when he gave me these that it would be the most used tool in the entire house. And he was right. Every time you got to loosen something and you can't get to the bolt, you end up using these. I've also heard these called dikes because the little channels that the wrench sits in look like dikes when from above, because that's what a dike is. It's just a channel for water to flow through. So you might hear these called dikes because of that. But this one wouldn't do the job. Wouldn't open up far enough for a toilet, because at the bottom you pull the tank off. You have to unscrew the receiver piece for the flapper. So I had to invest in the medium-sized channel locks. These are a bit bigger. Now I can do anything with these. It's a new toy. They're a little bit bigger than the other ones. Let's see if I can get them in here. And yeah, these aren't Craftsman. This is Crescent brand. Been used once, but the thing is, you'll use them. You actually will use them. Plus, there's another toilet that hasn't been done yet that's not screwing up yet, so I'm not going to. I have this thing about not fixing things until they need to be fixed. But I got the tool for the job now, so we'll see how it goes, and hopefully I can do the next one on the Yelp. I sat there and watched him do it and went through the instructions, and I was worried just because I'm an idiot when it comes to physical things, and I don't have the mechanics touch. I look at mechanical things and I can't just figure it out, so I've got to have decent instructions. And that kit actually came with decent instructions. Well, I bought the top end one because I knew it had pictures, diagrams and pictures in the instructions. So, and it's the fancy schmancy one. It doesn't use the flapper. It actually uses a valve that goes up and down. So, see if that one lasts any longer. We got 10 years out of the other one. I went through about 3 flappers. The problem is our water's hard here, so I don't know if getting the more expensive fancy schmancy one's any good. It's just going to get gummed up or not. So we'll see how long it lasts. But it was 17 and change. So I'm wondering if it's not worth just swapping that out every 10 years. I can't imagine that's going to be any real challenge. We'll see if the flapper mechanism, flapper replacement valve mechanism lasts any longer. Wow, can you even see me? The shade up here is pretty intense. I don't know, I had stuff to talk about when I walked out here. I was thinking, I could talk about this, that, and the other. And I get up here, it's August 26th, 2015 in Houston, Texas. And it actually feels half decent. It's not super duper hot. I hope you can hear me past all the wind noise. We have the fence. We have someone from the fence company coming today to look at our fence in the back. I put up a video of me going out and trying to prop it back up. Well, it just immediately fell over after I shot that video, so I just left it laying on the ground. Fed up with it. I like the video editor that I'm using. We have a billion different video editors to choose from, and you don't. If you don't do video editing, you don't understand why it is such a chore to find one you can stand. I've come to the conclusion I'm a consumer level video editor. I don't need professional stuff. I've done a few professional looking things, little tricks here and there. Nothing professional quality. Played around is what I've done in some of the professional editors. At least one, Kdenlive. I know how to use that one, so if I'm using Linux, I use Kdenlive, and if I'm using Windows right now, I just use Microsoft Movie Maker or Windows Movie Maker, whatever the hell it's called. It's in the Essentials pack, and it's free, and I can't bring myself to spend money on something that shouldn't cost money. I mean, there are insanely powerful tools for video editing available for free. There's one called Lightworks, and that's like the professional one that all the movie makers use on a daily basis. It's amazing what you can get done in it, after the 10 years it takes you to learn it. So, I don't know. It's free. As far as I can tell, it's free. but there just ain't nothing. There's nothing out there. There's nothing out there that does it all, because the problem is, in order to be powerful, it has to be complicated, because video editing is complicated. In order to be simple, well, you've got to use cookie cutter tools, because it's still complicated. It's just masking the complication in cookie cutter tools. And I've come to the conclusion that I don't care. I'll take the cookie cutter. I'm done worrying about it. Kdenlive is not a cookie cutter editor, but I know it enough to get done what I want. So I just understand it. There's other tools that are actually easier than Kdenlive on Linux that work. I just haven't sat down and done them. My litmus test was text. How do you do text in the program? If you can just click on something, type something, and it shows up, bam. That is a litmus test for me. It's got to be able to do that. You can't have to bring in third-party programs to get text on the screen. Period. I don't care. I don't care how great your program is. If it can't stick text on without having to go through rigmarole and importing and exporting and worrying about what resolution you're at and all this bullshit, it's done. I'm done with it. We have this thing they call a GA, general availability for our software, and it's happening pretty soon. That's the big release dates. And what we're putting out is really good stuff, but man, you just the deadline. So the managers seem to think that moving the deadlines is going to fix something, and the developers look at them like, well, we're going as fast as we can. We can't let stuff slip, so we have to do all the crossing of T's and dotting of I's. So moving the frickin' deadlines means nothing to us. It's going to come out. It's going to get into the system when it gets into the system, and we're going to approve it when we approve it, because that's just how it works. I mean, it's not a matter of what you intend to happen. It's a matter of what actually happens. It's a matter of what goes in and what doesn't go in to each step in the process. You say, cut this one, done. Well, what problems were there? Well, then we fix them in this kind of fix. And the next step, well, you fix more things. Every software project in the universe works the same way. You cut it at a point. You say, this is a good one. Package up, put it in, test the living daylights out of it, ship it, and then, well, okay, what was wrong with it? What do we need to change? You fix those things. You change those things. You get it to a good point. You test the living daylights out of it. You ship that, and it's just you have to grind everything down to a fine pulp, pour it all into the system, and at some point it has to go out the door. Development is an art. I hate to tell you this. There's a lot of people who want to replace one developer with another. They think that anybody with a certain kind of degree can just drop them in and replace people. It does not work that way. You cannot just replace people who have to creatively fix things that were broken and come back and and responsibly test things that need to, so they won't go out still broken. It is an art, and it takes an artisan. It takes someone who not just paints by numbers, but can create and can I don't know. There's terms for it that I'm not thinking of, but yeah, you got to be creative to come up with some of this stuff. And you have to know math, and you have to know logic, and you have to understand how whatever software you package, you have to understand how the system works, how the concepts, what people actually want in the field, what are people going to run into, what things are they not going to run into is just as important. You got to know those things too. It gets so hairy, especially at times like this when they're like, okay, we're ready to go. No, wait, we're not. You said you got to have this, and this. They're not there. We've got to get those in. Oh, but we moved the deadline up, so the deadline's right here. It's like, well, okay, but it's, move the deadline up, move the deadline back. You still have to pick a spot to put the line in. So you pick a spot to put the line in the code when the code's there, when the testing's there, blah blah blah. It's just a constant battle back and forth. I'm sure all engineering is very similar. I'm sure that everybody can point at their endeavor and say, well, yeah, you know, my job requires artistry work as well. I cannot wait until fast food is replaced by robots. I started paying attention when this whole they're taking our jobs, this robot thing came out a few years ago. I started paying attention to the one that I want to happen, the one I need to be replaced, is fast food. And it's not that I want to put anybody out of work. It's that I've been paying attention to just how often they screw up my order. There's a few rules that I've discovered. If it's just me and I don't have any changes to my order, I just order off the shelf and there's no special order or anything, the majority of the time I get it right. The vast majority of the time. I mean, like 9 out of 10 times I get it just right. Any modification to what it says on the menu, and bam, I cut that rate in half. So you know, half the time. Then comes when you have multiple people and changes. And for every change, for every deviance from the menu, you can just about double your chance of getting a bad order, getting something wrong in the order. So by the time you're done, 2/3, 3/4 of the time you order with multiple people, they're going to screw up the order. That's unacceptable. You know, I mean, I don't know how to fix it except, you know, have a robot do it. There's a place we go, I forget where it is, but they actually display it on a screen. How does your order look on the screen? It's the last thing out of their mouth before they give you their total. And the total shows up on the screen as well, but they do it audibly as well. I'm trying to remember where that is, but they don't screw up our order. And it depends a lot on the place too. I know Jack in the Box screws up our order a lot. I don't know if it's just this one down here where we order from. We order from there quite a bit. And let's see. One place that I really like that screws up my order is Chick-fil-A. I like going to Chick-fil-A. I like their chicken. But, you know, it depends on which one you go to. They're going to screw up your order. So there's a difference. There's 2 Chick-fil-A's that we usually go to. Both of which have good food, but one will screw up your order every single time. And the other one, it's a much lower percentage. They get it right most of the time. I cannot wait until every friggin' one of them is replaced by robots or a giant vending machine or something. Because at least you'll get consistent food out. And it'll be what it'll be. If not what you ordered, then you can stick a camera in its face and vlog it and say, look, the robot's screwing up my food. There's a place in San Francisco that is an automated restaurant. And they claim that and this is San Francisco, okay, high cost of living San Francisco. They claim you can walk in the place. It's called like, what is it? Eat something, I forget. I just read a little blurb about it. But anyway, you can go in and get a $6, $7 lunch, which is unheard of in San Francisco. And the whole idea is, you know, your order's automated, you pay automated, and the food just pops up in this little transparent thing, upside down bowl or whatever, and you get your food out and you're done. You walk over and you eat it. The whole thing is to remove human interaction. Their goal right now is to automate the cooking process for a lot of the food so that they can cut down on the number of cooks. But with this $15 minimum wage thing coming out, that is really, really going to push the whole automation thing. I'm like, yeah, please bring $15 minimum wage. I want robots. I want robots fixing my car. I want robots fixing my food. I want robots mowing my yard. I want all of that stuff to be robots because they won't screw it up nearly as much as human beings do. And they'll give a more consistent result. I want robots driving me around. I want robots flying my planes. I don't know, we'll see. I'm putting a lot of trust in automation. I do automation, so I should know how freaking nightmarish it is to get things to truly automate. But I don't know. It just seems like it would be better in a modern world to have robots doing a lot of the tasks that right now we still rely on unreliable human beings for. Oh, we have a dead door. I stopped off at the security guard station a couple days ago. I was like, what happened to the door? He's like, oh, it was like that when I got here. So they had that door cordoned off so that people could not get into it, and with tape around it like this. And you had to come down to the second door down here to get into the building, which was fine. Most people come from the parking garage, it's right behind those trees, so it was no big deal. I had to walk down a couple of extra steps. But these doors were obviously not up to the task, because both of them, the hardware gave out. The hinges ground to a halt on both of them. So apparently they were just not up to the traffic. I don't understand how that worked, but that's what happened. So they had the guys in here today fixing this. The crew, they had a crew in here putting in some new hardware, it looked like, and a new hinge system. Because those hinges, the hinges now look different than the ones before. The doors look completely different. So they're redoing these. I guess we're going to use something a little more shatter resistant. But it's just odd. We were talking about, yeah, we're running out of doors. Pretty soon we're going to all have to come in the other side of the building. We'll have the revolving door. But no, it looks like they're on top of it. Maybe it's... We were speculating it might be cheaper for these guys to actually replace all the doors and hardware and everything with a newer system that's less likely to blow up or you know, catch a rock. Who knows? Maybe somebody was pulling out over there and threw a rock through the door. Who knows? Anything could happen around here. So let's see. Yesterday we had a build needed to go out, and it's like one of the really important ones towards the end of the end of this part of the project. And so I start putting stuff together, and they're not done with these trackers and blah blah blah. It happens every time. And something went a little screwy with part of the build system. Something had changed somewhere in the mechanism, the vast mechanism of this whole. You know, we have probably 10 different loops we have to jump through to get the build out that we need. So some part in Europe was not working properly, and I figured this out after I went home at 5, because they weren't going to be ready until 7 or something. 7:30, 8 o'clock, something like that. I get the note that, oh yeah, it's all ready to go. And the first step I had to do was the part in Europe, and I don't have permissions. And it's like, wait a minute. So the people I need to talk to aren't going to be there until 8 o'clock in the morning or thereabouts. So I figured out I get up at 2 a.m. I can contact them on the chat software, and we can go back and forth and try to get this sorted out. 2 a.m. rolls around, and okay, so I go to bed. I actually went to bed about 9, and I've gotten in the bad habit of like watching a television show or something to calm down in the evenings before I go to bed, or even when I go to bed. That's a really bad habit because it screws with your sleep schedule. So it's 9 o'clock, and I'm watching a little TV show. About midnight, I was asleep. About midnight, I start waking up and looking at the clock. I'm like, okay, it's not 2 o'clock yet. I'm like, Kelly, you set an alarm. You're fine. Go back to sleep. Go back to sleep. 20 minutes later, wake up. Oh my God, what time is it? And look at the clock. It's not 2 o'clock yet. It's like, Kelly, you set your alarm. Like 6 or 7 times. And then I wake up, look at the clock, and it's 2 minutes to 2. So I sit there and stare at the clock until the alarm goes off. I hate that. Got up, got everything taken care of. It took the rest of the morning to get things going. Fortunately I was able to get part of the build going. That gave me right into work. Made it here. Got the rest of the build out, and it was pretty productive actually until lunch. I went to lunch, and after I got back from lunch, I'm just like, I'm zombified. Okay, so 1 o'clock rolls around. I'm just not focused. It's now about 3, and Ellie's grandfather's going to pick her up from school today. So I said, yeah, how early can you pick me up? So he's on his way right here. He's going to pick me up first. Actually, we're going to go pick Ellie up from school. That should be kind of a surprise for her, and because I'm worried I'm going to make bad decisions. So it's better to just know that this is the case and just deal with it. No more builds out tonight, thank God. The next important one's probably going to be Monday. I don't know. Tomorrow should be an interesting day. I got to change all my passwords. Oh my God, I think I've complained about this before. I'm trying to think how many passwords I have. I've got probably 15 passwords I've got to change in my work life, because I've got 2 laptops. There's like 3 each, or 4 there's 3 or 4 depending on what kind of, what laptop you uses. The email's got to have a password set on the laptop for the key. Then you got the cloud storage thing that you use for all your backups. That's another password. And then you've got the disk encryption on the computer on both laptops, and you got the login for the hard drive on both laptops, login itself for both laptops. Some of that overlaps. And then, it's just, Jesus. And then you've got 4 or 5 different services, and, all over the world. I've got to go in and change my password. There's my ride. Alright, well, anyway, I can quit my bitching about passwords and go get ready to get out of here. But yeah, I'm going to get some sleep tonight and try to have a more clear head in the morning.